Ms. Lamb? Could you turn your mic on, please?
Sorry.
That's all right. Your first time.
Chairman Issa, Ranking Member Cummings, members of the committee, my name is Charlene Lamb. I am Deputy Assistant Secretary for International Programs in the Bureau of Diplomatic Security at the Department of State. I have been in law enforcement for 35 years, including 17 consecutive years stationed abroad as a regional security officer in Nicaragua, Tanzania, Kuwait, Guatemala, and Germany. I'm here today to share our best information to date about what happened in Benghazi on September 11th. As you know, there are ongoing investigations and reviews being conducted, and we are speaking today with an incomplete picture. But as this process moves forward and more information becomes available, we will continue to engage closely with Congress. Let me begin by describing the actual compound in Benghazi. It is more than 300 yards long and nearly 100 yards wide. The main building was divided into two sections. The public section included common areas and meeting space. The private section was a residential area that included a safe haven. A second building, Building B, housed diplomatic security agents. The Tactical Operations Center occupied a third building. The fourth building on the compound served as barracks for the Libyan 17th February Brigade members. After acquiring the compound, we made a number of security upgrades. Among other steps, we extended the height of the outer wall to 12 feet with masonry concrete, barbed wire, and concertina razor wire. We increased the external lighting and erected jersey barriers outside the perimeter. We also added equipment to detect explosives, as well as an imminent danger notification system. We installed security grills on windows accessible from the ground and included escape windows with emergency releases. There were 5 diplomatic security agents on the compound September 11th. There were also 3 members of the Libyan 17th February Brigade. In addition, a well-trained U.S. Quick Reaction security team was stationed nearby at the Embassy Annex. All of these measures and upgrades were taken in coordination with security officials in Benghazi, Tripoli, and Washington. I work closely with more than 275 facilities around the world. Determining the right level of security for each one is intensive, ongoing, constantly evolving process, one that I appreciate and understand from my own time on the ground as a diplomatic security officer. That brings me to the events of September 11th itself. At approximately 9:40 p.m. local time, dozens of attackers launched a full-scale assault. They forced their way through the pedestrian gate, used diesel fuel to set fire to the Libyan 17th February Brigade members' barracks, and then proceeded towards the main building. A diplomatic security agent working in the Tactical Operations Center immediately activated the imminent danger notification system. He also alerted the Quick Reaction security team stationed nearby. The Libyan 17th February Brigade, the Embassy in Tripoli, and the Diplomatic Security Command Center in Washington. One agent secured Ambassador Stevens and Sean Smith, the Information Management Officer, in the safe haven. The attackers used diesel fuel to set the main building ablaze. Thick smoke rapidly filled the entire structure. The agent began leading the ambassador and Sean Smith toward the emergency escape window. Nearing unconsciousness himself, the agent opened the emergency escape grill window and crawled out. He then realized they had become separated in the smoke, so he re-entered and searched the building multiple times. Finally, the agent, suffering from severe smoke inhalation, barely able to breathe or speak, exited to the roof. Other agents retrieved their M4 submachine guns from Building B. When they attempted to return to the main building, they encountered armed attackers and doubled back. They regrouped, made their way to a nearby armored vehicle, and then drove over to assist the agent on the roof in search for the ambassador and Mr. Smith. After numerous attempts, they found Mr. Smith. Unfortunately, he was already deceased. They still could not find the ambassador. The Quick Reaction Security Team arrived with 40 members of the Libyan 17th February Brigade. They all continued the search for the ambassador. Then, at approximately 11 p.m., the Libyans insisted for everyone's safety they needed to evacuate the site. The combined security team made a final search for the ambassador before leaving the annex in an armored vehicle. They took heavy fire as they pulled away from the main building and on the street outside the compound, but were able to make their way to the annex.
Point of order.
The gentlelady will suspend. The gentleman will state his point of order.
Mr. Chairman, I'm concerned that we're getting into classified issues that deal with sources and methods that would be totally inappropriate in an open forum such as this.
The gentlelady, Ms. Lamb, Mr. Kennedy, is it your intent to declassify any or all material in Ms. Lamb's statement?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chaffetz, the information that we are presenting today in open session is entirely unclassified.
Mr. Chairman, I totally object to the use of that photo.
The gentleman will state his reason.
I believe it to be classified information that goes to sources and methods and should not be disseminated in a public manner such as State is doing here today.
Mr. Chairman.
Ranking member.
Yeah, I was just wondering, these are people from the State Department. They apparently have clearance to show this information. They are, I assume, they wouldn't come here unless it was cleared. So I'm just wondering.
I appreciate the gentleman's comments. Ambassador, it's your statement that these either are now declassified or you are declassifying them at this hearing. Is that correct? In other words, is this cleared through your channels to be given here today?
This information is available, sir, for public dissemination. Yes, sir.
Okay.
You can Google us.
The gentleman's point of order, although noted, it is the prerogative of the executive branch to determine what is not classified. The one thing I would note, my able staff has compared last night's press conference and the opening statement of Ms. Lamb, and it appears as though her opening statement should have been given to us last night, since it was obviously the one given to the press.
Mr. Chairman,
we'll reset. Yes, the gentleman will say his point.
Can I make one more comment? I was told specifically, while I was in Libya, I could not and should not ever talk about what you're showing here today.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, this is commercial digital imagery that that from a commercial satellite source, sir.
I appreciate that. Ultimately, I'm going to side with the administration that you have a right to show what you want to show and consider it unclassified. I would, again, recognize that we were shown documents this morning in camera that said unclassified, but they weren't turned over to the committee. If you have anything else that you intend to use, if it hasn't been provided to the committee, I would strongly suggest that that binder and other materials be provided at this time. Again, it's your prerogative to declassify. It's not your prerogative to selectively tell a member of Congress something is classified and then come to an open hearing and saying it's not. Since Mr. Chaffetz visited with your people that work for you, Mr. Kennedy, Secretary Kennedy, I would ask that you rectify this in the future. The gentlelady may
Mr. Chairman,
will add. I've ruled that they.
I just have a question. Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
What is
I just have one question, so that we'll be clear, because we don't want any misconceptions. Just, Ambassador, can we get that on Google?
This is not a point of order.
I want to know.
The ranking member does not stating a point of order. Thank you. Please reset it to 2 minutes. If you could finish within 2 minutes, Ms. Lamb, we'd appreciate it.
Yes.
Gentlelady is recognized.
Thank you. In the early morning, an additional security team arrived from Tripoli and proceeded to the annex. Shortly after they arrived, the annex started taking mortar fire. With as many as 3 direct hits on the compound, it was during this mortar attack that Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty were killed, and a diplomatic security agent and a quick reaction security team were critically wounded. A large number of Libyan government security officers subsequently arrived and escorted the remaining Americans to the airport. We were then able to confirm reports that the ambassador's body was at the Benghazi General Hospital, and the department coordinated the transfer of his remains to the airport. Before I close, I would like to say the men and women who risked their lives in the service of our country are heroes. I have served with many of our security professionals around the world. They are my friends and my colleagues, and I trust them with my life.
Thank you. I would direct that that chart be taken down. Upon further reflection, although commercially available, in this hearing room, we're not going to point out details of what may still, in fact, be a facility of the United States government or more facilities. So you may continue. I respect your right to deliver what you want, but I will caution once again, Ambassador, that that which is told to us on a classified basis needs to remain that way. You can't have it one day, a classified briefing, which I attended yesterday, and then the substantially same material be presented unclassified the next day.